Welcome back to the TwinSpires jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with Darin Zoccali, and we've got Kyle Hampton filling in. I believe it's show number three, lucky number three, and he's currently providing expert picks on Keeneland's website. So we're going to put him to the test and talk all things Keeneland today. Grade 3 Perryville on Saturday, Grade 2 Raven Run, and then the Grade 3 Dowager on Sunday. And Kyle, since you've been looking at the cards this whole meet, we will start things off with you in that Grade 3 Perryville today. Race 6, which is on Saturday. 3-year-old fillies racing 7 furlongs, post time 3:40 p.m. Eastern time. So give us your play in that race.
Yeah, and when I was actually looking at this race, I was going back and looking at the history of it, and a lot of the past winners like Bernicini, Raise Kane, and Gunite, none of them won this race in the lead. And practically this whole entire field looks like they want to go to the lead. So I was kind of torn on who I would go with. I ended up with Rolando for the Fausto Gutierrez barn. Was last out seen in the Gunrunner at Kentucky Downs, first time on the turf, can basically draw a line through that race. He's the son of Vacoma, and just run consistently well in multiple listed stakes. And the race that impressed me the most for him was that first level allowance back at Gulfstream on March 2nd. And in that race, he just gives them the slip early and kept going. You'll see right here, he's the number 4 in the red silks. And in that final furlong in that race, he ran a 12 and 1/5 second furlong. And it looks like he just wanted to keep on going and had plenty left in the tank. Gaffleon gets off of Owen Almighty and comes to ride Rolando. I don't know if that was a trainer switch or his agent making that decision to move to Rolando, but I think Rolando might be a sleeper in here, especially at 12 to 1 or higher.
And I did misspeak because I said this was fillies. That is not fillies. That's the next race. These are colts, clearly. All colts, no geldings. But yeah, I like that you're taking this stance, going Rolando, who is, it seems like he likes to go to the front. So yes, you mentioned there's a lot of speed in here, but you're getting a great price, and maybe he is flying under the radar here. Darin, what are your thoughts? Obviously, you're going with a different pick, so tell us your thoughts on the race, how it's going to shake out, and why you like Owen Almighty.
Yeah, and then Rolando actually beat the horse that beat Owen Almighty last time, so I'll give him another plug for Kyle there. I just think, like Kyle was talking about, this race from a pace standpoint, everybody wants to be pretty close or forward in here. Barnes did not get out of the gate at all in the Gallant Bob, and it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what he's going to do here. But Taylor's version, Captain Cook, Rolando, obviously all have speed. Owen Almighty has shown speed, but typically more so when he stretched out around 2 turns. He ran a tremendous Kentucky Derby, a race that nobody thought he had any business running in, including myself, because I didn't think he was a mile and a quarter horse, which I still don't. But they cut him back to 7 furlongs, giving him 3.5 months off. And when they did that, they ran him at Charlestown. It's just a really weird spot to bring him back. And I've seen a lot of good horses go to Charlestown. I just have nightmarish results there. And anytime I see that, I really just draw a complete line through it. It does say steady at the rail ease, but he was all done by that point anyway. He wasn't making up any ground, but cutting back to the 1 turn, it's the first time that he's doing that since the Pasco. And this is the Tampa Bay Derby winner. And in that race, he did beat Chance of McPatrick and he did beat Hill Road, two relatively strong commodity 3-year-olds. And I thought this was a very impressive performance for a horse here, going a mile and a 16th. Probably the best race that he's ever run, but he wins this race emphatically in this spot. And I always just kind of come back to this race and looking at it and saying, there's a lot in this horse's tank when he really dials into it. And I just think going 7 furlongs here, coming back in about 7 weeks' time, I think you're going to get a better price than you should on him, because I think that his ability is really, really high up there when it comes to the 3-year-olds going 1 turn. And I'm just looking for a bounce back performance from him here. And I'm going to try to get it when the money goes in some other directions is pretty much my hope. If he doesn't run well here, I don't know what it means for his future. For me, this is almost like I won't say a now or never spot, but if we don't see the real Owen Almighty here, I don't know when we're going to see it.
It's not a bad play. You're getting a better price than Captain Cook for sure. And Owen Almighty technically crossed the wire first 2 out of 3 times at the distance. And he put up really fast fractions. If you go back to that Pasco where he was placed 5th via DQ, but did cross the wire first. I'm curious, you all both have the early speed here. Owen Almighty had 21 and change, that opening fraction in the Pasco. Rolando consistently puts up around like 22 second fractions there. Who do you think gets the early lead here? Are you going to have
I
one of the
don't think
two?
the Owen Almighty Pasco, that race, that track was really, really fast that day. I don't. I think he was just the best horse in that race, and they put him on the front end, and we're just trying to kind of build him up going forward in the spring. I think you're going to see more like a one of the races that you saw earlier in his career where he was sitting maybe a couple of lengths off the pace. I don't
Mhm.
think he's going to the front here.
Yeah, what's concerning about Rolando is that if you go back and look at all of his running lines, if he's not first at
Mhm.
second or third call, he's not winning.
Yep.
And so I hope maybe Fausto tells Gaffaleone to rate the pace, but I just don't imagine every trainer is going to go in this race and say you need to send your horse to the lead because it's just going to be a suicidal pace meltdown.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, Roman's horse, if he doesn't go to the front, I'd be shocked. I mean, I think it would take, some kind of an issue where he did not get out of the gate because aside from his debut, I mean, he's extremely fast early,
Hmm.
and he's drawn down inside. I can't see a situation where he wants to take back in and behind horses. So I actually think if you ask me to set how the race sets up, I think the two goes to the lead. I think Rolando and Captain Cook are sitting second and third off him. And I think Rolando, Barnes, and Gaming are the three and behind. I'm sorry, I mean Owen Almighty, Barnes, and Gaming are the three and behind. I think those are the ones that are going to work out more of a stalking trip. But I don't think anybody's going to be too far back unless Barnes walks out of the starting gate again.
Well, I went with another horse that's going to be forwardly placed, doesn't necessarily need to get the early lead, but does like to at least press the pace. And that's Captain Cook, 6 to 5. Don't love the price, but I do think this horse looks like he's in great form. Made his first start since transferring to Todd Pletcher's barn last out and put up a huge figure. Hopefully, not going to bounce off of that figure, but did have a 104 Bristnet speed figure, won a no second in the H. Allen Jerkins at Saratoga, which we're watching at 7 furlongs. Now, Todd Pletcher at Keeneland doing really well right now, winning at about a 46% clip. Irad Ortiz Jr. is going to be regaining the mount here on Captain Cook. When I looked at this field, like we've all talked about, I feel like most of these horses want to go to the front. Can Captain Cook maybe sit off that early speed? He certainly can, and I'm thinking that he will. Probably Irad won't necessarily take him right to the front, but he does well at the distance. And like I said, with that last outspeed figure out at 104, I'm looking for him to do something similar. Could improve second start with Todd Pletcher. He's an 18% winner. Second start with his barn and winning at a 22% rate with layoffs of 46 to 90 days. So went with the favorite. Not exciting, but I think Captain Cook looks like maybe with the new barn, he's going to start taking another step forward.
Yeah, this race will be interesting to see what happens here because before in Rick Dutro's barn, he was running in listed stakes and grade twos and grade threes, and then gets transferred to Pletcher's barn and loses by a nose in a grade one. So it will be interesting to see if he does balance off it or not. I don't know. I'm a little worried about him. If you go back to the Withers, he wins that race, then they put him in the Wood. He's 9 to 5 in that race, and he bounces. So it's gonna be an interesting race to see what happens with Captain Cook here.
I think they tried to put him on the Triple Crown Trail with the Wood. I just
Mm-hmm.
think he's not a mile and an eighth horse. I think he's better around one turn. He's by Practical Joke, who himself was a miler. Indian Charlie on the bottom side, really produces miler types as well. So I think this is probably what he is. I mean I have two issues with him. One, personally, I bet him in the Jerkins and I had a disgusting beat at 20 to 1. So I
Yeah.
can't come back and take him at 6 to 5 here. But the other thing is that does he did run a monster figure. So
Mm-hmm.
does he regress off that? But I do freely admit if he runs back to that race, he wins.
Now I
Absolutely.
am curious with gaming. I almost wanted to make a case for gaming. He's a horse
You
that I
can
really
you can make
liked
a
when
case
he
for
was,
any of these. Yeah.
yeah. But my thought too, with him breaking from the rail, see, I would like to see him with a stalking trip. But do you have any concerns with him breaking from the rail? Does he need to go out to the front, do you think, with that rail post? Or do you think he can
No,
make a trip where
I
he's
don't.
sitting
I
off
don't
the
think he.
pace?
I don't think he can make the lead in this field, even
Yeah.
if he wanted to. I don't think he's fast enough. He's from my entire his entire career. He's been a riddle wrapped inside of an enigma for me. I never really know what to expect from him. His effort in the shared belief was like too bad to believe. He's a horse that is a complete throw of the dart where I just don't know when he's going to show up.
If you get him
Yeah.
back though to that Del Mar Futurity going 7/8, I think that The way he ran that race, I think wins this race today.
Yeah, it has been confusing. He's been very inconsistent since he's, turned 3, but he is working out very well at Santa Anita. He's coming off a layoff. Maybe he does put in a big performance, got John Velasquez back. But it's just, yeah, you look at his form line and he's got one big race at Santa Anita at a mile and 16th in his last several starts. So that's concerning. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We have quite a few horses that could do something here. It doesn't sound like any of us like Taylor's version, but I'm sure some Swifties out there will put money on Taylor's version. So got that going for it. Let's move over to, let's see, that would be race 9. Yes, the Raven Run, 7 furlongs. This one's for the fillies, 3-year-old fillies. And Darin, I will start with you. What is your pick in the Raven Run?
Yeah, I went to number 7, Maida, for Brittany Russell. This is a rapidly developing filly, and probable I'm pretty high on as a stallion. I like a lot of especially on the filly side, some of the things that I've seen from him. She's untested beyond 6 furlongs, but last time out, I don't think an extra 1/8 of a mile really would have made much of a difference. She's just got this nice cruising speed about her. She looks to do it so effortlessly. She beat a next out winner in Green Eyed Monster 2-back. GW's Girl, who she beat, was a heavy favorite last time and is a nice filly as well. And if you go back and watch that most recent effort at Laurel, I mean, she just broke running and never really looked back. And I think that's going to probably be the plan once again here. I mean, use that tactical speed. There's not a world of early speed inside of her. I know the rail horse, Delightful Claire, shows some speed at times. But, I mean, you're just watching her just kind of gallop away here after setting pretty quick fractions, 22-2, 45-1. And this is kind of knowing the racetrack, right? 45-1 to the half at Laurel is at 6 furlongs is moving. Sub 110 for 6 furlongs at Laurel is moving. So that was a really big effort. I would be a lot more comfortable if Usha wasn't in the race. I will admit that. She brings that Southern California speed and is drawn right to her outside. That can certainly make things tough on her early. Basically, what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to jump on a horse in a graded stakes race that could be an up-and-coming star at a price before everybody else knows it. She's never been more than 2-1 in her career. She's 5 times that on the morning line. So I think it's a good time to try to catch lightning in a bottle before the secret is out on her. That's just the approach.
Not a bad angle. My one concern was the horse hasn't really faced the deepest of fields. And aside from one race where there were 6 rivals, hasn't faced the kind of field we might see here. It's an overflow field. So I'm guessing we'll probably have 12 horses.
Yep.
So that was my one concern, but it certainly looks like those horses continuing to dominate, and this will be the real test to see what happens in a graded stakes. But Kyle, you like Quiet Side, who was a horse that we saw on the Oaks Trail. So tell us about why you think Quiet Side can win at 7 furlongs.
Yeah, absolutely. And we haven't seen her since the Kentucky Oaks, so she makes her return to the races here. John Ortiz, brings her back to the spot at the 7 furlongs. I think it's a good spot, start her back shorter. And last time we saw her run 7 furlongs was in the Grade 1 Spinaway at Saratoga. And in this race, she drew the outside, rated the pace, and then started to make a move around that far turn, which looked like at the top of the lane, she was going to be the winner. But ultimately, Immersive just ran her down and overtook her in the final strides. You come back here today, though, and I think that the 7 furlong cutback is perfect for her. Jose Ortiz stays on, which I think is a huge positive. He's been doing great in Kentucky, and she just seems to be training well up to this race today.
And to her inside, we have another Kentucky Oaks alumna, Simply Joking. First start for Michael McCarthy. That's interesting.
Did not know
but not
that.
one that I'm backing myself. And then to the inside, we've got Ragtime. I do have to mention Ragtime because I didn't want to just back another favorite, but Ragtime is a filly I really like, a Godolphin homebred who is just a neck shy of being unbeaten from 4 starts and won the Grade 3 Dogwood last out, but I ended up going with Usha myself at 9-2 for Bob Baffert. This is a horse that last out had a 100 brisnet speed figure, won by 5 1/4 lengths, and then 2 back won at 6.5 furlongs, same distance as the last out performance, and won by 11 lengths off a 9-month layoff. I believe they're watching the replay of the last out at Del Mar in the allowance optional claimer. But Usha is an interesting horse. Started out 0 for 3 in her 2-year-old season with Bob Baffert. Then went over to John Terranova, tried to break her maiden Aqueduct, didn't work out, was second that day by 3 lengths, and then made her first start as a 3-year-old in July of this year, but is now on a 2-win streak by more than 16 lengths. So I'm looking for her to come out here with not a lot of speed signed on. She can go to the front or she can come from off the pace, showed versatility in her last 2 starts. So I went with the 92 price over Ragtime, but I do like Ragtime coming off the pace. You have to respect the triple digit late pace figures in all 4 of her career starts. And I'll take 3-1, honestly, if I get it at post time, but I don't think I will on Ragtime. So I'm going to go with Usha, who I think is a solid chance as well.
Yeah,
Darin, your face looks like you're concerned.
No, I am concerned because, like I said, I wish she wasn't in the race. Because I think she compromises the chances of my filly. I think the winner likely comes from posts 7 through 12. I think one of those, probably 6, are the winner. It's an incredibly deep race, which is why I didn't pick Ragtime, although she's by far the most likely winner of the race. She's a neck away from being undefeated in 4 starts. Quiet Side, I gave a long look to, coming off the layoff, going back to 7 furlongs. I even looked at Vodka with a Twist, who ran okay last time out and is stretching back out to 7. I mean, this race is an extremely difficult race, which is why I just kind of searched for value. But half the field wouldn't surprise me here.
Honestly, if the 14 and the 15 were to draw in, I think their chances as well. The 14 has been racing at Parks, so does that form translate over to Keeneland? But I thought the 15, I can't remember how to say that horse's name, to Diaroa, I believe, for Phil Bauer.
Yeah.
Won on debut at 7 furlongs and then stretched out, didn't do well, stretching out to a mile and 16. But then at 6 furlongs at Churchill was closing well and, finished 2 lengths back. But add that extra furlong in there, maybe the 15 has a chance at 7 furlongs. Yeah. So
I mean,
I give you eligibles could be interesting.
Mark Cassie's taking Vixen off the turf for the first time in her career. She's run a couple of good races behind Nitrogen and Lush Lips, who obviously are premium 3-year-old fillies. So does she translate to dirt? I mean, I have no idea, but it's a complete wild card to just add more chaos to it is already a pretty crazy race.
Yeah, Keeneland did a very good job of turning in competitive races all around on the card. And before we get to Sunday's card, we will stop to talk about promos and tournaments. So, Darin, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, a lot going on the promotional side. We'll keep talking about the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. That's coming up in just a couple of weeks, obviously, for the Breeders' Cup, the BCBC. That great offer still up there, still a chance to opt in. If you wager $3,000 between October 1st and October 26th, and you're opted in, you buy a BCBC seat with us, you're going to get back 5% of that purchase, which is the equivalent of $500. So it's a pretty neat kind of bet-get type of an offer. But if you're a contest player and you're looking for where you want to play the BCBC, you're not going to Del Mar, you're trying to figure out what site, well, get it with us, bet $3,000, and you're going to get back $500. So it's certainly that easy. And, of course, we have our Keeneland Bet Back selected races all weekend long. Take a look, bet with a little bit more confidence. If your horse runs second or third, you get that wager back up to $10. And then on top of that, on the tournament front, good stuff this weekend. We have a Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge, Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge qualifier coming up on Saturday, $1,000 to enter, guaranteeing some seats to both those contests. Feeder ongoing right now, and a bonus feeder for that tomorrow. That's the one you see there on the right side of the screen, that $400 entry. So for the first 10 entries, we give away 1 seat for every 5. Once we get past 10, it becomes 1 seat for every 4 the rest of the way. So this is normally a tournament that you can kind of watch the leaderboard. And by the time you get to the middle of the card, you see, wow, there's only like 25 people left with money and 9 of them are getting seats. So it's always a good feeder to take part in if you want to get into that big qualifier coming up on Saturday. Running out of chances to get qualified for the BCBC, but we got a good one on Saturday. And then something else that we're really extremely excited about, and have to give a tip of the cap to our product and development team, who obviously have done a tremendous job with tournaments. They have revamped, remodeled, relaunched the TwinSpires Tournament Hub, and you're getting a look at it there. And it comes with a lot of new toys. And included in that, you see those symbols, that mouse going over there on the left side to kind of differentiate between cash challenges, feeders, qualifiers. You got the icons there. We've got the 3 prong menu across the top. Right now, it's selecting the active tournaments to see what's going on right now. But if you want to take a look back at some of your past performances or how other tournaments have performed to see what it takes to win some of these, you can click on the ended button there, and it's going to launch all of the tournaments that we've run in the past. And you could pull up the results. You could look at the different denominations for those as well. Scroll all the way down, and you could see pretty much the results of all of those previous tournaments just to get an idea of how they go. You click on the results tab, and you're going to see the full leaderboard from those tournaments to get an idea. All right, a $200 feeder at Keeneland. What did it take to win this contest? You can open up those individual accounts and see their wagers. You can see how many people finished in the money, how many prizes were given away, everything there. It takes you back to those tournaments. You go back to the tournament hub, and we have a direct link to that tour leaderboard as well. The ongoing TwinSpires tour, it accumulates points. We have an overall leaderboard for the entire year. We have it broken up by different sessions, I should say, that awards smaller prizes throughout. And there's 4 different sessions, so you can get a look at that. And on the left-hand side of the screen, you see all those cool filters and toggles. You could toggle it to see which tournaments are you opted into. You could toggle it to see cash. You could toggle it to see qualifiers, feeders, everything. So you could really kind of sculpt the entire tournament experience on the hub for exactly what you're looking for now. Just a great new update to the tournament hub, and why the product team has done a fantastic job and stands out in the industry among the contest space.
That was a nice demo. For a second, you had me convinced you were controlling the screen.
Nope.
Wow. That was really well done.
Nope. Kudos to Blaze for sending me that video so I could kind of see what he was doing and be ready to talk over it.
Very nice.
Quality production.
Yes.
Nicely produced, as Christopher Mad Dog Russo used to say.
All right, we would turn it over to Sunday racing at Keeneland. We have the Grade 3 Dowager. This is 1.5 miles on the turf for fillies and mares. Post time 4:44 p.m. Eastern time. Kyle, we'll turn it back to you. You have one of 3 for Brendan Walsh that you are going to pick in this race.
Yeah, this was a tough race in my opinion. And with it being 1.5 miles, I wanted to look more for a filly or mare that was going to stretch out. So I chose Spanish Eyes for Brendan Walsh. And the filly was running in Germany before she came over to the States for a campaign over here. She ran second in the Robert G. Dick Memorial at Delaware. And in that race, she is it's the race here. She's the number 5 in the maroon silks. And she looked like at first she wasn't responding well in the race. And then finally she kicks it in. Basically so she's drifting out here. You'll see down the lane. She's not responding the best to the commands of the jockey. It looks a little green. And then finally kicks it into gear at the 16th pole and just almost wins. And I think here today with the stretch out, it's going to be perfect for her. In her other 2 previous races, the Ladies Marathon Invitational Kentucky Downs, you can draw a line through that. It's just not the type of surface I think that she likes. She prefers more the flat surface. Then she ran in the Beverly D at Colonial. She's second there again. Not enough ground in my opinion. You get the stretch out to 1.5 miles today. I think it's going to suit her perfectly. She can sit way off the pace and come running late.
I like the pick. I mean, you can sometimes draw a line through Kentucky Downs races because it's such a unique course. But, the 2 previous tries, when she came off the layoff at Delaware Park and then at Colonial, she ran really well. And I think you're right, with added ground, maybe could have gotten the win that day. So what are the prices? Let me see. She has, 4-1. I mean, that's a fair price, I would say. So yeah, I do like it. She is coming off the pace. And I think Darin and I maybe were finding similar reasons to like a very hard name to pronounce, Vivuve in French, I think. Means something widow. I don't know. But anyway, Darin, you tell me why you like Vivuve. It's probably the same reason I like this horse too.
Well, we submitted the picks before the odds were in. So when the morning line came out, I hated the pick because I thought I was actually I thought I was actually getting something like decent around 5-1. I thought either Spanish Eyes or Miwa were going to be the morning line favorite in here. Mm-hmm. Look, Vivuve, the last time in the One Dreamer, she was much closer to the pace that day. I always forgive horses that run poorly at Kentucky Downs. I know she had a good run going 6.5 there last year, but I liked her race up at Saratoga this summer. I liked her previous race over a next out winner at Churchill Downs. She was in extremely good form. I just think she was too close to a fast pace last time. Now, that being said, this race, for one thing, is devoid of speed.
Yeah.
There's basically nothing in it. I almost try to figure out a way to pick Cupid's Crush, to be honest with you. It's just really hard to accept the fact that a Minnesota bred, coming from Canterbury is going to win a grade 3 at a mile and a half, who's, been running in turf sprints earlier this year. So Cupid's Crush might have like a 7-length lead here at some point. But Vivuve, I thought was going to potentially be sitting second or third and kind of run her own race from there and be in a situation where she would be able to just kind of stalk and pounce like she previously did at Churchill Downs. Because when you go back and you look at those previous races for her, the race at Churchill Downs, I think, is what you're going to get here, where she's just kind of sitting a length and a half or 2 lengths off the pace, allow them to come back to her and be able to, kind of step away from there and get first run. And I think that really makes a lot of sense. The race at Saratoga also really captured my eye as well. That was a race where she had to come from a little bit farther back because she got off to a really bad start, and she had to make up a substantial amount of ground where they didn't really go all that fast. They went to the half in 47 seconds, and she was 7 lengths back at that point. But she found another gear in the stretch, and that replay from Saratoga is really impressive, where you watch her just kind of flying through the stretch and getting up on the outside of runners. If she runs back to that, I think she's got as good a shot too. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that we like in common. I'm hoping she doesn't go off favored and drifts up a little bit from there. I'm kind of still hoping either Spanish Eyes or Miwa end up as the post-time favorite.
Yeah, pace scenario was a big angle for me, looking at how this horse ran last out and being a little bit closer to the pace, 3 back at Churchill as well. This horse also really has come on since moving to Joe Sharp's barn, has 2 wins from 5 tries and then finished a good second. Actually, first start out since moving to Joe Sharp's barn was a no second at Keeneland at a mile and a half and an allowance last year. Earlier this year in April. So the fact that she's in good form, moving over to this barn and did well at the distance, was beaten by Boss Lady Bailey, who was a huge long shot that day at Keeneland and is a huge long shot in this race again. But with her projected chance to go to the front instead of soft pace, I looked at the 7-2, Darin. But yes, I was a little concerned. This horse hasn't gone beyond a mile and a 16th, and I don't know if this horse does want to go that long. So I had to go with the 6. I don't know if maybe we'll get some money too with Dowager having won a graded stakes race in the past at a mile and 1/8. But yeah, I was kind of surprised too to see that this was the morning line favorite that we chose, and hopefully won't be the post-time favorite. The other one too, Bless My Stars, coming off a long layoff. Brendan Walsh, another for Brendan Walsh in this field. Now the 8-month layoff, a little bit of concern, but if you do look at this horse's past performances, when it was racing over, where was it racing? Oh
South Africa.
That's why my brain was broken. When that horse was racing in South Africa, it was racing longer. It was doing well. And if you look at when the horse came to Gulfstream, did close well at a mile and then close fairly well at a mile and a 16th as well, racing for Todd Pletcher. So could this be a wild card coming off that long layoff? And maybe this horse will change up tactics a little bit too with the lack of speed. John Velasquez as a board doing really well at Keeneland too. So I don't know if the horse stays in the field, because there are 3 for Brendan Walsh, but if Bless My Stars were to run as well, you're getting 8-1. Might be worth a shot with the little variable if we don't know what this horse will do off a long layoff for a new trainer as well.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kyle. You go first.
I was just going to say an interesting note about Bless My Stars and, horses switching over to the Brendan Walsh barn for the first time is that it's a positive ROI angle on that. It's 23%, the 304 return for $2. So, I mean, just flat betting that angle alone and him being 8-1, it's probably not a bad pick.
Yeah. The other thing about her, because I remember when she came over to the States, and when she ran on the Swanee River, that they were probably getting ready for the filly and mare turf at the Pegasus. I went back and I remember I watched a bunch of her replays. Like, she gets out of the gate painfully slow, and going a mile on the turf at Gulfstream, mile and a 16th. The turf course at Gulfstream is like the shortest stretch in the country, and it just does not play well for her. Keeneland is a bit longer, and the race is now getting longer. And if you go back at her South African form and you watch the races, The races where she went a mile and a quarter, a mile and 3/8, mile and a half, she did not run badly. So this, I think, is probably a better scenario for her than what she faced at Gulfstream. I honestly just don't know how good she is, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if she adapts well to the additional ground in the longer stretch here and comes running a bit late.
Now that I've seen the morning lines, because we did send our picks in before the morning lines, I feel like I'm leaning more toward the 9 now. Unless
There
I
you go.
can get that
I
better.
talked you into it.
Yeah, I know. Unless I can get that better price on VVoof. But yeah, I might go with 9, seeing what we're getting around post time. All right, let's end things with our rapid fire fades. And Darin, I will start with you. Who are you not playing at a short price?
I am not playing Necessity. Necessity is in race number 4 on the program. It is an entry level allowance for fillies and mares going a mile and a 16th. She's 1 for 7 lifetime. She was the beaten favorite last time in a race that was taken off the turf. She lost by a neck that day. I thought she should have won there. I know she was coming off a layoff. She's second race back. A lot of people are going to jump all over her. Her one victory, though, is at Oaklawn Park. I don't know. You've heard me say it before when Oaklawn meet ended in the spring. I need to see the Oaklawn form produce something somewhere else. A lot of Oaklawn form stays at Oaklawn. So at 5-2, I don't have like a great pick in the race to tell you that I love, but there's a lot of different directions that you could go in. I wouldn't be surprised if Snow White runs well here with her early speed. Golden Gamble, I thought in the turf last time ran well and has some good form on dirt going back to some earlier stakes races. And Take Charge Omaha down to the inside, I thought is coming off of a sharp win at Churchill. There's like 3 or 4 in here that I could land on. So because of that, Necessity at a short price was an easy fade for me.
Yeah, the 1 and the 9 were the 2 that I thought looked like good shots in here with better prices. And yeah, that horse hasn't won since breaking her maiden, right? So, I mean, granted, she was facing Great Stakes Company, but maybe going a little shorter at Churchill on that off the turf event maybe could have gotten the win. But yeah, it seems like this horse is a little all over the place and a good fade at a short price. Kyle, what about you?
Yeah, looking to race number 2 on Sunday at Keeneland. Smoking Hot Wife, who's 3-1 on the morning line for Kenny McPeak. Maiden 20 event for fillies and mares sprinting on the main track. The filly last out was seen in a maiden 30, where she was second at Churchill, going a mile and a 16th. They've tried her at the mile and a 16th distance. They've tried her in multiple routes. And she cuts back to the 7 furlongs today. And I think that the route back to a sprint, especially at Keeneland, is just an overbet angle. And I just don't see how this filly warrants 3-1 on the morning line. I mean, she doesn't have a ton of speed. Her form is really not the best to warrant 3-1 at all. I think there's a lot of directions you could go in the race. So it's an interesting move, and I see why she's the morning line favorite, but definitely not going to get any of my money at 3-1.
I think it's more of a condemnation on the rest of the field than anything else. Because when you go, I looked at this race when you sent in the fade, and I was like, who
do you pick?
Who do you want to bet? You know, I mean, this is one of those races where, quite honestly, like if I come to it where it's just like, this is not a race that I'm playing.
Just don't play it.
Yeah, like just take the cannoli. Ran much better on the stretch out last time, and maybe she moves forward off of that. The horse to her outside. 7 on ran second at maiden 30 in Keeneland, but she got beat by the length of the stretch at 47-1, and like everything else, the form is just So it's just kind of like I looked at this race like hoping to be like, yeah, love the fade because I love this horse, and it's just like throw a dart, man.
I know. Could the 11 be in play? Maybe
Anybody could be in play.
That's true.
I think I'd probably have to go with Country Club, the horse to the inside of Smoking Hot Wife. I mean, maiden 30 ran well, but at least the horse has never seen the sprint
Fast
distance
track,
before.
yeah, or fast track.
Yeah, good percentages. Trainer 19% second off the claim, 19% at the maiden claiming level, 17% route to sprint. So yeah, looks better than Smoking Hot Wife. That's for sure.
A lot of, I do gravitate in these spots if I am going to play to a horse like her who's only had 2 lifetime starts. One was on turf, one was on a sloppy sealed track. So you don't know what she might do in an environment on a fast main track where pretty much everybody else in the field, you have an understanding of what they are.
Yep.
And for me, I will be fading a lukewarm morning line favorite, Degree of Risk, at 4-1. This is Saturday at Keeneland in race 8, a mile and a 16th. Allowance on the turf. For one, this is a 6-year-old gelding who's 0 for 7 at the distance. The fact that this horse has tried 7 times at the distance and hasn't gotten the win, that's a big red flag for me. 3 for 26 lifetime, has earned just 1 win from 5 starts in 2025, and that was when racing at a mile. And then the previous year was 1 for 7. So very inconsistent. I see better value and stronger resumes elsewhere. I thought the 3, This Is Usker, the 11, 911 Turbo looked better. So the big angle is the opposite of a horse, or I mean, a distance specialist. 0 for 7 at the distance. I got to play somebody else. And yeah, it's 4-1. So not the shortest price, but the morning line favorite. And I'm not going to play Degree of Risk. Too risky for me.
Let me ask this question. Do you think he's going off favored?
I honestly,
I
is
don't
a
know.
great question. I could see This Is Usker maybe going off favored. There's a couple in there because I was a little shocked this was the morning line favorite. Who do you think goes off favored?
If you held a gun to my head, see, This Is Usker has only got 1 lifetime start on turf and it was not good.
Yeah.
So I couldn't give you that one. If you held a gun to my head, I would say Siege of Boston.
Yep.
Yeah, that horse. Yeah, that horse was. I feel like the horse was okay last out, and
Got grade 2 races that aren't bad on the card. And last time added Lasix for the first time and ran a much improved race, and now gets Lasix second time. Irad Ortiz gets overbet.
Get that money, yeah.
Yeah. So
And has finished in the money 5 out of 6 times at the distance. So yeah, you're right. That's probably going to be our post time favorite.
All I could tell you is this. I've owned horses at times that we've run in like 3rd level allowances. And for some reason, every time we're in a race like that, there's like horses dropping out of like grade 1s and grade 2s that are like monsters. Once I would like to get a non-winners of 3 other than a Keeneland that I enter that the field looks like this. Because not to say it's a bad field, but like it's what an allowance race should look like, where it's not like, all right, this guy's coming out of the grade 2. This guy ran the Arlington Million. Like it's a reasonable race, but that's why I think you're gonna have a hard time figuring out the favorite.
Well, you got any maidens you want to throw on that maiden claimer Kyle picked?
Same thing. Like, yeah, I would love to. You know, whenever we go into a maiden claimer, I mean, it's amazing. We have run into 2 horses in the last 2 years. We ran in a maiden special weight last year at Horseshoe, Indianapolis, with a 2-year-old filly, and we ran into Good Cheer. And then this year at Colonial, we ran in a maiden special weight, and we ran into Come On Eileen, who won by like 13, and then went to Charlestown and ran like an 88 buyer figure, winning by the length of the stretch in the stake race there. So 2 years in a row, wherever we go in maiden races, we run into just monsters.
Well, your luck's got to be coming up soon.
That's right.
I hope.
Well, that is all the time we have today for the TwinSpires jury. Of course, head to TwinSpires.com or the app to check out those promos, the tournaments on TwinSpires.com tournaments tab, and we will be back next Thursday with more best bets.